Good evening, everybody. This is Tim Little with Distilled Living, and you're watching Crazy Cabin Fever Cocktails produced by Fascination Design. So this is how things go about cocktail hour over here at this house. Hey, do you want a cocktail? Yes. What should we make? A cocktail. And then we make Manhattans pretty freaking regularly. So I'm going to make a Manhattan, but I'm going to mix it up because we do our default cocktail a little too often. So I was poking around to see what we had that was interesting, and I was looking at some of the ports and Madeiras and things that we've collected and some specialty bitters. So I started building. Actually, I started with my specialty bitter, which is Scrappy's Cardamom, which is very strong. I'm actually going to use less of this because this is going to really bring the sweet brown spice character of cardamom. And then I didn't think sweet vermouth was a match, so instead I am pulling out some Don Fino sherry, which is fantastic, and actually it's going to bring much less herb spice character than a vermouth would. This is going to bring more of just kind of the sweet berry characters. And then I wanted a lighter bourbon to go with this. So I'm using Maker's 46. I didn't really want any rye to go against that, but I do think the cinnamon note is going to play beautifully against the cardamom. So this is a traditional Manhattan build. I meant to do 2 dashes. That first dash sucked. So 2 dashes. I don't want to do a whole lot of this. I'm cutting it back to half of the normal quantity that I would use because I still think that this is going to flavor it enormously.
You're making 2 drinks.
But I'm making 2 drinks. Sorry, yeah, see 2 glasses there. So I'm going to use my 2 ounces of my sherry. And, oh, it smells good. It's kind of a lot of sweet to it, which is okay. That's what I'm in the mood for. And then, my Maker's 46. I don't drink a lot of Maker's 46 by itself. I think because it is so different than a traditional bourbon flavor profile, but I do really enjoy it in cocktails. So that's the direction we're going to go with this. And actually, I can smell everything integrating very, very quickly. Now, normally when you're working with vermouth, I talk about how vermouth does not play well with others and it doesn't integrate and you have to stir it for a really long time. Because I'm using a sherry and not a vermouth, I don't think this is going to take this long to integrate. So I'm just going to stir it until it smells correct and I get the aromatic that I'm expecting, which I don't think is going to take 90 seconds. Or sometimes I even stir for 120 when I'm doing 2 of these because I really want to make sure everything integrates really, really well. Now, because I am making this for me, I am going to taste it and make sure that I have fully integrated it before I go ahead and pour it into the glass. So let me get a sip. Man, that cardamom is so strong. I could have even brought it down to less than that. So I'm gonna actually stir this a little bit longer to give it some more dilution, because the cardamom is dominating. Despite I used very little of it, you saw that. Probably could have brought it down to 1 dash actually, even for a double cocktail. All right. So if I have to modify it up with the other mixers, I will do so. Yeah, I'm going to need to modify it up because the cardamom is the dominant flavor. So I'm going to give us another ounce of the sherry. Sherry doesn't bring a huge amount of sweetness. So this is, it's not like an old-fashioned level sweetness. So I think it's a little, it's letting too much of the cardamom through.
So because you use basically 1 bitter that's really strong and 2 other items that are really not.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it down by half, but I should have brought it down by 3/4.
Okay.
Ooh, that's tasty. It's a little bit bitter. It actually could use a little hint of simple syrup.
He's
going to grab some simple syrup. Because really, so this is going to be splitting the difference between an old-fashioned and a Manhattan at this point, without as much sugar from the sweet vermouth as I'm working with the sherry, and because the cardamom is just so dominant, I am gonna hit it up with so I'm going to do a 1/2 ounce per. I'm going to do a 1/4 ounce of simple per cocktail, which is going to bring it up to a 1/2 ounce total. I'll go right on top. Now, because this is simple syrup, it integrates almost instantly, It does not take a lot of effort. Now I'm stirring in the middle instead of stirring on the sides, which is producing a little more ice noise because my syrup is right down in the middle, and I need to move it out to the sides. And then I'll give it to traditional sides. And let's see where this goes. That's freaking good. Could even be sweetened up a little bit more if it was earlier in the evening. If I was having a 5 o'clock happy hour, I might sweeten it more, make it more of an old-fashioned direction. But it's later on, you know. I've already done one bourbon tasting today. I don't need a huge amount of sugar. I just needed enough sugar to offset the dryness of the other ingredients. And look how light that is compared to a Manhattan, which would have the sweet vermouth. It's a little bit cloudy, partially because the glass is frosted a little bit, but also because I added that simple syrup. So let's see how it is.
It's very different. It is
Ooh,
not like
good.
Our normal Manhattans at all.
It's not like a normal Manhattan, not in any way.
That sherry is actually kind of really showcased there. And that one, is that one the one that I always say kind of has a grassy note to it?
That's the one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which I think plays beautifully against the cardamom. But this is very much a drier drink, even with that little bit of simple syrup. It needed the simple, though.
It definitely did. I'd be curious as to how it would work with a sweet vermouth, kind of as a perfect half and half.
So join us next time on Crazy Cabin Fever Cocktails for some experimenting with sweet vermouth and these other ingredients that we have. In the meantime, this wound up being 2 dashes of cardamom bitters for 2 cocktails. 2 dashes of cardamom bitters.
For one cocktail. Bring it down to one?
Bring it down to 1. 1 dash of cardamom bitter, Scrappies. I really like Scrappies. It's going to be 1 and a half ounces of sherry, 2 ounces of the Maker's 46, and 1/4 ounce of the simple. So now we'll just break out more and more bottles for the next show and see how we go from there. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Good night.